Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here on the west coast of Canada. I hope everybody is having a good week. You're staying strong, staying healthy, staying productive. Welcome members. Hi Raghav, nice to see new members joining in. This is a members chat class. Of course, everybody is welcome to watch. To become a member of our channel, simply click the join button next to the subscribe button. In this class, we are looking at an IELTS reading passage specifically for the academic IELTS, but the general IELTS section 3 reading is very similar to the academic IELTS reading passages. So if you're doing general IELTS, there's still a lot of valuable information to be learned in this lesson. Welcome, Sammy. Welcome to our moderator, Carolina. This class is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Visit us there. For the general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. That's general IELTS help. On both of those websites, we have lots and lots of materials to help you improve your English and your communication. All right, Raghav, I can see you in the chat. That's great. Nick Hill, welcome. Let's take a quick look at our websites. This is our academic IELTS website here. You can click that big red button to join our premium package. It is a one-time payment for lifetime access. We are an official IELTS test registration center and certified agent, so you're in good hands with us. The materials we're using today do come from our website, so if you want lots more materials like this, check us out here. And for the general IELTS, it's the green background, and it's this big red button here. Click that to join us. All right, everyone. So you can always get our apps, Academic IELTS Help, links to aehelp.com, General IELTS Help app, links to gieltshelp.com, and you can follow us on Instagram, IELTS_AEHelp and GIELTS Help. I'm doing great, Rashika. Thank you for asking. Mahi, same. I'm doing well. Thank you. To get a hold of me, if you have questions about the IELTS, just send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com, and I will get back to you shortly after seeing your inquiry. And we have live classes all the way until Saturday, so we will have another class today for listening part 1 and 2 after this class, where everybody can join in on the chat. And then, of course, we'll have more classes tomorrow and on Saturday. Let's take a look at today's reading passage. This is coming from our second exam book, and we'll get right into it. It's quite an interesting passage. I really like this one. Some of you members that have been around for a while may have seen this once or twice, which is not bad. It's always good to go and revisit older passages to see how much your comprehension has improved, to work on reading fluency. The title of this passage is "Why Do Some People Have Red Hair?" And it's a question mark. Okay, so obviously this passage will attempt to answer this question. So before you begin reading, try to answer this question on your own, and that might help you to better understand the passage. Good morning, Paolo. All right, so whenever you get to a reading passage, start with the title, take a few moments to analyze the title and think critically about it. There's basically 2 steps that you want to do, or 2 strategies that you want to apply to the title. Firstly, you want to apply some critical thinking. Okay? So when you read the title of a passage, apply critical thinking. Meaning, ask, What, why, and how. Okay. So, what is this passage about? Clearly, it's about reasons that people have red hair. Okay. And why do you think? Why do people have red hair? What do you think, members? What's the reason for that? Welcome, Pavan, to our group of members. Pavan and new members, Raghav, make sure to send me an email so I can hook you up with your perks. I can give you the perks for your membership, like the exclusive videos, Pavan, okay? All right, Mahi says biological reasons. Raghav says genetics. Mahi says come from parents who have red hair, yeah. Sammy says maybe something to do with weather conditions. Okay, so think a little bit more, Sammy. So weather conditions is good. It's a good start. If you take that one step further, we can say adaptation, right? So probably because of genetics and environment. Yeah, these are commonly in biology, for those of you who are biology buffs, this is commonly referred to as nature and nurture. Okay, so it's another way to think about it. So their genetics and their environment, okay? Their nature and their nurture. Right? It's commonly the way it's referred to. Right. So how did they develop red hair? Okay, so then sure, let's think about this genetics and environment. Who are people that usually have red hair? So this is where you want to apply simultaneously a little bit of the second strategy with the title, which is visualization. So picture people with red hair. Who are they? Where do they live? Okay. And then you might be able to come up with, why do they have red hair? So what could be the reasons for it? Okay. So what do you think, members? Keep thinking here. Be active. Okay, Angelo Cristiano says some individuals have red hair because of genetics from their respective family or parents. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, a lot of us carry genes for red hair. We just don't exhibit those genes. So if any of you are geneticists or into genetics, I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts going on right now. So Sammy says Irish people. Yeah. So definitely people in the UK, specifically Irish people. So Irish. Yeah. Anybody else have red hair other than the Irish? There are some other groups. It's not just the Irish that have red hair. Okay. So who else has red hair? Irish, Scottish, Scandinavian, right? Scandinavian. Okay, sure. And people in Canada and US of Irish descent, right? Angelo Cristiano says, I have platinum hair. All right. And what do these people have in common? So do they have any commonality in their environment? So if you think about Irish, Scottish, Scandinavian people, is there anything that's common in their environment? So the places where they live, is there any possible logic to why these group of people have red hair? So Carolina says they live in colder climates. Okay. Yeah, so they tend to live in colder northern climates where there is less sunlight. Yeah, exactly. All right. So if you've gotten this far in your analysis, then you are doing great. And of course, you should be doing this very, very quickly. So in the IELTS exam, you have to be focused and your brain has to be working 110% so that you can come up with questions like this, visualizations like this very, very quickly. Okay? All right. So that's great. That's what you need to do. That's the utility of the title. The title is extremely useful when you apply these strategies to help you get a better band score. Okay? All right. So then you look at some questions to see if the questions can give you a little bit more insight, a little bit more help on the content of the passage. So the goal here is to look at question information that you will also find in the passage. Do not look at information in the questions that you do not find in the passage. So for example, true, false, not given, yes, no, not given, multiple choice answers. You do not find that information in the passage necessarily, so that can be very confusing. It's a waste of time to read such information. So the information that you read has to be information that is in the passage. Here you have sentence completion, or I should say short answers, or actually, my bad. Still early in the morning here. Fill in the blanks. Let's call these by their actual name. They're called fill in the blanks. You have a sentence, you have a blank, you have to fill in the blank. So this is a fill in the blank. And these types of questions, you have this information somewhere in the text. It's not going to be verbatim, which means you will not find the exact same words in the exact same order. This is a paraphrase. So this is in the passage, but you will see it written differently in the passage, okay? So you just kind of skim through these nice and fast to give you a little bit of an idea of the content of the passage, okay? All right. Number 14. Red hair is common in countries with something from Western Europe. Gene is one which can only be transmitted from generation to generation if both parents possess it. Okay, so good tip on the genetics. Right away we see the word gene and transmitted from generation to generation. It is bright and early here, Carolina, but it's great to get up early in the morning and be active. All right. Number 16, evolution and something are both causes of the origin of red hair. In addition to red hair, the MC1R gene causes many something to occur on the skin. All right, and then we have a yes, no, not given. Don't worry about it. Okay, skip through that. We'll answer that, or we'll deal with that after we read the passage. And then we have complete the summary using the list of words. So we have a summary completion. Again, that is good to read before the passage. So redhead misconceptions. Do pay attention to the title of summary completion questions. So misconceptions here means misunderstandings or wrong beliefs. Okay, misconception. A conception is a belief. Misconception is a wrong or incorrect belief. Okay? Redheads have suffered from a number of negative stereotypes throughout their history. Notable, in some cultures, they were thought to lack something. Today, conversely, they are thought to be enjoyable and something people. The perception that redheads are dying out is entirely something because the MC1R gene is recessive and can miss something. Redheadedness has been around for thousands of years, and though the something of redheads in the world may decrease, they are here to stay. Okay, so obviously something about the culture and history, the behaviors, the attitudes of redheaded people. All right, good. So, yeah, exactly, Pavan. Misunderstanding. Misunderstanding, Pavan, is actually one word as well. Paulo, I do not drink coffee. It makes me too hyper. Just imagine I'm this energetic without coffee. When I drink a coffee, I literally spin in one spot until I ignite and light on fire. Okay, so yeah, coffee only in the most severe situations. Coffee's not good for you. I know it's delicious, but it's just not good for you. All right, so let's go back and read this passage. Okay, so again, to recap, first, read the title, visualize, think critically. Next, look at the questions that have information which is in the passage to get more ideas of the passage. Third, read the passage. Okay, you have 20 minutes to read and answer. At this point, you should only have taken about 3 minutes, so you still have a good 8 to 10 minutes to read the passage carefully. Okay? All right, so reading the passage, you have to be active in your reading. Active means that you really pay attention to the information. You pay attention to the structure of the information, and you continuously check your understanding. Okay? So, actively read the passage. This means continuously check your understanding of the passage. Okay? And we're going to do this right now. So we're doing this together, so everybody read with me. Okay, this is reading. And practice reading aloud whenever you can. All right? Which means hear yourself. Okay? Here we go. So from the top, why do some people have red hair? Red hair is an exceedingly rare trait, especially in areas of the world such as Asia, Africa, and South America. In Western Europe, however, red hair is relatively common. In some countries, such as Scotland, red hair is more common than blonde hair. Additionally, countries with historical immigration from Western Europe, such as the United States and Canada, also show high incidences of red hair. Red hair has been around for thousands of years, if not far longer. There are ancient Greek accounts of redheads and even ancient Egyptian ones. The story of why people have red hair is interesting and has to do with genetics, evolution, and geography. Okay, so here we want to ask ourselves, what is this paragraph about? Okay, so this is obviously the introductory paragraph. What is it about? What does it tell you, the reader, very quickly? So how would you summarize this in a concise way? If you just read this and I went up to you and I said, hey, Pavan, what is this paragraph about? What would you tell me? Okay, so what would you tell me? And if you told me Elon Musk took coffee blindly, I'd be very confused at this point. I know that's not what you're referring to. But on a serious note, what would you tell me? Deepak says, the existence of redheadedness. Okay, I think we can be a little bit more specific than that. Raghav says the origin of red hair colored people. Yeah, Raghav, I agree with you. So the history and distribution of red-headed people. Yeah, right, Raghav? So the history and the distribution of red-headed people. So history means, it says that, hey, people a long time ago, even as far back as ancient Greece and Egypt, obviously had red hair. We know that they did from records. And the distribution, they're most common in Western Europe, less common in other parts of the world. And the reasons for it, right? So evolution and genetics and geography. Okay, so the history, the reasons, and distribution. Now, if I want to be more specific, it's actually the distribution, history, and reasons, right? So that would be the most accurate, because then I have the exact same order as the introduction. So distribution, history, and reasons. Right? So that would be my most concise way to summarize it. Definitely work on this at home. When you're doing reading passages, work on reading a paragraph, writing down in one sentence what that paragraph is about, and then checking to see if you can make that answer better, more concise, more accurate. Okay? It's a very good exercise to do at home. Everybody clear on that? So I'll make a note of that for you so you can practice it at home. But this is a very important exercise. Okay? Read a paragraph. Write down in one sentence what it is about. Then, very importantly, check the sentence to make it more complete, concise, and accurate. If you have to, reread the paragraph. Okay, so I highly recommend doing this exercise. Not only will it improve your reading, but of course it will also improve your vocabulary, your writing skills as well. Okay, everybody's like super clear on that. Carolina's like, okay, all right. Okay, so that's the idea. Okay, let's keep reading. So here we go. Next paragraph. Again, read with me. So let's do this together. Okay. The gene for red hair is what is known as a recessive gene, which means that the gene can only be passed down to the next generation if both parents possess the gene. And even then, the probability is only 25%. But it is important to note that not only redheads carry the gene for redheadedness. Rather, in some countries, up to 40% of the population carries the gene. This accounts for the birth of a redheaded child to non-redheaded parents. The parents may not be redheaded themselves, but they carry the gene. And if their ancestry was to be analyzed, there would surely be redheads up and down their family tree. Okay, what is this paragraph about? Can you give me one concise sentence on what this paragraph is about? You could actually do it in one word if you know this word in English. It starts with an H. Okay, so what is body paragraph 1 about? And again, this is just to show you that you can really get good at this accurate, clear, concise. Yeah, there it is. So Kush, nice to see a brilliant comment by Kush Javia. Says biology of red hair Heredity. Yeah, exactly. It's called heredity. Yeah, so the heredity of redheads. Okay. Heredity refers to the inheritance of genetics. Okay. Right? So heredity, heredity, the inheritance of genes. Okay? So that's what it's about. Pedigree, Deepika, is not really the same. Pedigree is something that we use more in dog breeding, where, well, it's an example of it, dog breeding, where there's a certain bloodline of dogs. So it's related, Deepika, you're not far off. Pedigree is related to heredity, but it's not quite the same as heredity. Okay, so very good. Sammy also, heredity. Great. Nice to see people having that vocabulary. Okay, so introduction, then heredity. Now, here I'm keeping a log in my brain of these paragraphs, right? So I know that paragraph 1 was about the distribution, history, and the reasons. Paragraph 2 is about heredity, and then paragraph 3. So this is allowing me to keep a clear structure of the essay as well. Okay, let's keep going now. We'll pick up a bit of speed so we can get to the questions. Okay, again, read with me. So the specific gene for red hair is called the melanocortin-1 receptor, MC1R, and was discovered in 1995 by Professor Jonathan Rees at the University of Edinburgh. This gene is responsible for red hair, along with the other tertiary attributes associated with red hair, pale skin, and myriad freckles, for example. But why did people ever have red hair in the first place? The answer? Some scientists think has to do with evolution and geography. The places where red hair is relatively common, Northern Europe and Western Europe, have lower sunshine levels than other parts of the world. This lack of sunshine resulted in a lack of vitamin D production in its inhabitants, exposure to the sun being humans' main source of the nutrient, which can result in rickets, a condition which can lead to the deformity of bones. One of the side effects of the MC1R gene is that redheads more easily absorb vitamin D due to low amounts of eumelanin in their bodies. On one hand, this results in a particular predisposition to sunburn. However, it also allows redheads to avoid rickets, even when underexposed to the sun. Okay, so fairly tricky paragraph, some tricky words like eumelanin, MC1R, melanocortin-1 receptor. Don't freak out, okay? When you read these kinds of words, don't panic. This is challenging for anyone, native English speakers as well. The key here is to get the main idea. The main idea here is that there's a specific gene responsible for redheadedness. This also allows people with this gene to absorb vitamin D so that they don't get sick, so that they stay strong. And they get burned by the sun easier, which makes sense, right? Easier to absorb the sun. If it's sunny, that person's going to burn. That's really what you need to just understand from this paragraph. You don't need to become a scientist during the IELTS exam. You just have to understand the main ideas. Okay. Sammy says it's the specific gene and the climate conditions for the evolution of that gene, right? Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Redheads also have a number of other curious attributes that are associated with the MC1R gene. First, they have a higher tolerance for pain than non-redheads. Studies have shown that redheads require up to 20% more anesthesia for sedation than non-redheads. Second, redheads are more sensitive to cold temperatures. This is especially curious because redheadedness originally developed as an adaptation for cold, sun-poor environments. Evolution is not perfect, and it may be the case that maladaptation to cold temperatures is the price redheads pay for adaptation to low levels of sunlight. Third, redheads bruise more easily than non-redheads. There does not seem to be any evolutionary reason for such a trait, though it certainly does contribute to the negative stereotype of redheads as less physically capable than non-redheads. So what is this paragraph about? This is about certain characteristics that are linked with the gene or the genetics of redheads. Okay, so people who have that MC1R gene. Okay. All right, short little paragraph here. Let's keep going. So again, keep reading with me. This is not the only negative stereotype that has cursed redheads through the centuries. At times in history, redheads have been thought to be witches, evil, unclean, and soulless. Today, these stereotypes have thankfully given way to more cheery stereotypes of redheads as fun and quirky individuals. Okay, so again, here we have some myths and some beliefs that are around redheads historically. Some pretty weird ones a long time ago, thinking that redheads are evil or they're witches or they do not have a soul. Okay, nowadays a little bit more on the positive side. They're fun and quirky individuals. Quirky is a little bit of a tricky word to define. You might want to look that up in the dictionary. It's a type of attitude. It's a type of behavior. Quirky. Even the pronunciation's a bit funny. It's quirky. Quirky people have a certain type of unique attitude that's kind of interesting or funny. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. So here we go. In recent years, a perception has been created that redheads are dying out and will eventually become extinct as a genetic category. This is patently false. Red hair as a recessive gene has the ability to skip generations and return in full force. Red hair has been around for thousands of years, perhaps as many as 100,000 years, and there are no signs of its forthcoming extinction. While redheads may make up a shrinking percentage of the world's population due to higher growth among non-European populations, the redhead gene is here to stay. Okay, so it's a little bit about the prevalence of redheads. Prevalence means the number of redheads existing in the world and their existence in the future. So their prevalence. Okay. All right. So we've read the paragraph. By the way, for those of you who are curious, the speed that I was reading is absolutely okay for the IELTS exam. So the speed I was reading this passage, if I started and finished without stopping for discussion and so on, it would have been roughly 8 minutes, okay, 7 to 8 minutes with that speed at most, okay? So that speed is totally fine, okay? In the reading, slow and steady wins the race, which means that if you read clearly, you understand, you're going to do much better than if you try to read really fast, read again and again and again and again, and you don't really understand anything and you're reading too quickly. That's not a good strategy, okay? So don't lose your mind in the reading section, right? Okay, so now let's answer these questions. So no more than 2 words from the passage to fill the blanks. Number 14, red hair is common in countries with something from Western Europe. So we have some kind of a missing noun here. Okay. And I remember seeing Western Europe in the introduction. So if I can't clearly remember, I can search for Western Europe. Okay. Raghav says immigration, and Pavan says read calmly. Yeah, absolutely. Read calmly and with focus, Pavan. You're right. Okay. So if I do have to go back, because I read calmly, I remember that it says Western Europe, and it's easy to pick out because of capitalization. So names are generally much easier to find. And then one mistake that students do is they read from the word forward, but you won't find the answer. So Western Europe, such as the United States and Canada, that won't make sense. So what you have to do, okay, is you have to go back to the start of the sentence, which is right there, okay? So start reading from here. In some countries, such as Scotland, red hair is more common than blonde hair. Additionally, countries with historical immigration. So sorry, the sentence starts here. It's often a good idea, though, on that note, to go back even one more sentence. So the sentence before. Okay. Additionally, countries with historical immigration from Western Europe. Now, because it says 2 words, I would actually take both immigration and the adjective, historical immigration. Okay. So just to be on the safe side, I would take both words here. And of course, careful not to make mistakes. So I would actually take historical immigration. From Western Europe. They will probably give it to you for just immigration, but historical immigration will get you the mark for sure. Okay. All right. So next question. A something gene is one which can only be transmitted from generation to generation if both parents possess it. Now, if you were reading carefully and you've done a bit of grade 10, grade 11 biology, you should be able to answer this question without reading the text. So ideally, you're not searching the text for every question, okay, or every answer. All right. Ideally, you're not searching for every answer. Nick Hill says it's recessive. Sammy, Raghav, and Paolo and Carolina agree. Yeah, recessive gene. Okay. So you put in your answer and you move on. Again, you should not be searching for every answer. That is not the right way to finish the reading section clearly and confidently. Okay. By the way, students, what's the opposite of a recessive gene? So recessive gene is one where both parents need to have it in order for the child to exhibit or potentially exhibit that gene. What is the gene where only one parent may have it and the child can exhibit that gene? So this is just some basics of grade 10, grade 11 biology, and it is a good idea to refresh some of this knowledge if you're going to do the academic IELTS exam. Yeah, very good, Paulo. Very good, Deepika. It's a dominant gene. Yeah, recessive, and the other, I don't want to say opposite, but the other is dominant. Yeah, so recessive and dominant gene. Very good. Okay, number 16, evolution and something are both causes of the origin of red hair. evolution and genetics, maybe, but we already talked about genetics. I think there's a better answer here that IELTS is looking for. So evolution and something are both causes. Nick Hill says the answer there is geography. Yeah. Okay. This answer comes from a very special place in the reading passage, and you have to be very clear about that. Where does this answer come from in the passage? It comes from the introduction, the introductory paragraph, and it comes from a very special place in the introductory paragraph, and you should always be very aware of this part of the passage. What part of the passage does this come from? It comes from a very, very important part of the passage that you have to be very aware of, and there's a very good chance that there'll be at least 1 to 2 questions on that. Very good, Nick Hill. Good. You're learning lots, Nick Hill. It's fantastic. So Nick Hill's been a student for quite some time, and you can tell because Nick Hill's very quick with the answer. And that was a trickier one. Yeah, very good, Nick Hill. From the last sentence, which is the thesis, right? Exactly. So be very, very attentive of the thesis statement of the passage. So the thesis statement is the last sentence here. The story of why people have red hair is interesting and has to do with genetics, evolution, and geography. Okay? So that's the thesis of the passage. Very, very important to pay attention to that. Okay, number 17. In addition to red hair, the MC1R gene causes something to occur on the skin. Now, if you know this word, if you have visualized it, you're going to answer this very quickly. If you don't, it's going to be a little bit tricky. And you're going to be looking for this piece of information, the skin. Right? Yeah, Carolina Angelo says thesis as well. Very good. Okay. All right. So going back to number 17, in addition to the red hair, this MC1R gene causes many. Carolina, very good. Carolina says it's freckles. Yeah. Yeah, so freckles on the face means that you have those little dots. Okay, those little speckles. If you think of the word speckles, freckles, speckles, freckles, speckles, freckles. So think of the word speckles. Okay, speckles we use in other contexts where you have little dots. Okay, speckles, like on a TV screen, you can have little speckles. Okay, but on the face, they're called freckles. Okay, so freckles are these little dots on the face, freckles, okay? Not only redheaded people have them, I have a few freckles as well. I think they're a little bit more common among European descent, but people have freckles, those little dots, okay? All right. Okay, now we shall answer these yes, no, not given questions. So if the statement agrees with the writer, it's a yes. If the statement contradicts, is the opposite, or does not agree with the writer, then it's a no. And if we cannot know, if we cannot figure out what the writer is thinking about that statement, then it's a not given. Okay, so here we want to use the basic if this, then that logic. First, we want to figure out if the statement is given or not given. And we do that by identifying whether or not the information is important to the passage. Okay, so number 18, excess sunshine causes rickets. Is it important to know what sunshine causes in the human body for this passage? Is this important? Okay, I'm just shortening important to imp. Is it important for this passage to understand the effects of sunshine on the human body? Okay. Yeah, absolutely it is, because it has to do with the reason for red hairs, right? So as long as we understood that, hopefully we did, then we know that it's important. So it has to be given. Okay? When we realize that, okay, that piece of information is going to be pretty important, so it's going to be given, okay? Then we can figure out if it's a yes or a no. Okay? So is it true that getting too much sun will cause rickets, a deformity of the bone? So if I'm outside and I'm sun tanning, getting lots of sun, getting a nice color to my skin, am I going to get sick? My bones are going to deform? No, absolutely not, right? Sunshine is healthy for you as long as you don't burn yourself, right? So you need to get sunshine. Sunshine is our source of energy and life. So sunshine is absolutely important for us. It's not going to give you rickets. It might give you a sunburn if you stay out there too long, but you're not going to get rickets. Unfortunately, these days, if you get too much sun for many, many years, then you might develop skin cancer. So there are some dangers, but skin cancer is not rickets. So don't confuse it, right? Okay. All right. High amounts of eumelanin is known to help absorb vitamin D. Important, yes. So it's given. I know this because I remember that vitamin D is talked about quite a bit. Eumelanin is talked about quite a bit. Is it a yes or a no? I don't know. Okay. I don't know because I can't remember. I mean, I'm a good reader, but I can't remember what it says about high or low amounts of eumelanin. Now, I do remember seeing the word eumelanin. Probably it tripped me up when I was trying to read it. Okay. So I'm going to look for that eumelanin. It was in the second or third paragraph somewhere. Okay. I think it was somewhere in the third paragraph. So here I'm looking for this kind of vitamin D, and I'm also looking for eumelanin. Okay. All right. So let's see. Okay. There's vitamin D again. So one of the side effects of the MC1R gene is that redheads more easily absorb vitamin D due to low amounts of eumelanin. So here I take special notice of the word low amounts of eumelanin. Okay, and then I look at the yes, no, not given. And it says high amounts of eumelanin is known to help absorb vitamin D. Obviously, that's false. So we want low amounts of eumelanin to absorb vitamin D. So we know that this answer is also a no. Okay? This is your kind of trickier yes, no, not given, where you have to do a little bit more investigation. This is where you're going to spend a little bit more time to find the answer, okay? Again, don't panic. Some questions you might need to take a whole minute to find the correct answer. As long as you're staying calm, you will find it. Some questions will only take you 15 seconds. You'll read the question, you'll realize it's important, you'll remember the answer, and bada bing, bada boom, you know what it is, okay? Redheads have difficulty adapting to their environments. Is it important to this passage whether or not people who have red hair have difficulty adapting? No. So it's a not given. Very quickly. Okay. Redheads are less physically capable than non-redheads. Is that important to the passage? Man, not really. I don't remember the author talking about that, so it's not given. So here, notice something interesting. We have no, not given, not given. And there is actually no yes in this case, which can happen on the IELTS. So reading this before the passage would be really a waste of time because there's just a lot of confusing information. Okay? So there you have it. Answers are no, not given. Okay? In order to get these answers correct, you have to read the passage. There's simply no way to know the answers. Most people would not know the answers to such questions without reading the passage first. Okay? So that's fill in the blanks and yes, no, not given. All right, everyone. So the redhead misconception, so false beliefs about redheads, I'll leave this one to you. So here is the paragraph, and you have to find the correct words for these spaces from this list. You can do that on your own time, okay? You can watch the video again on the channel. It will be up. It's recorded. Choose the correct answers. Send those answers to my email, and I'll give you the answer key if you don't have it in our premium course. If you have access to our premium IELTS course, you'll find, of course, the answers in the answer key after you do it. Again, if you don't have our premium course, you can send it to adrian@aehelp.com. If you want to get access to our premium course, go to our website, aehelp.com, and click this big red button to join. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. For general IELTS, it's this one here. It's the green background, and you can join us by clicking there. Students, I'm going to stop the lesson there for today. That's a full lesson. We will be back. I will be back in 30 minutes with listening. We're going to look at another exam of ours. And instead of the reading section, we're going to look at the listening section. Specifically, we'll focus on listening parts 1 and part 2. You're very, very welcome, Sammy. Great participation in the class, everyone. It was really nice to see all of you here today. Hopefully, you'll hang around for another 30 minutes and then join me for the next class. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from beautiful Victoria for the moment, but I will be back soon. Okay? Bye.